Okay, I'm going to give you a little quiz. What is different and what is the same about Exhibit A? Exhibit B? And Exhibit C. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm John with Become a Drummer, and welcome to lesson number 6 for a beginning drummer. All right, so let's start with the very obvious. What was different about that? So I was playing on different parts of the drum set. Exhibit A, I was playing on the hi-hat, a closed hi-hat. In Exhibit B, I was playing on the ride cymbal over here. And Exhibit C was the floor tom. So what was the same? Yeah, the beat was the same. The beat was kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, snare, kick, kick, snare. So yeah, that groove was the same, and the right hand moved to different surfaces. And I think we can all agree that by doing that, you're giving that groove a completely different feeling. So that's exactly what this lesson is going to be about. We're going to take our beats that we've learned and we're going to try them out in different spots on the kit to get a completely different sound out of the same drum beat. All right, before we start moving around willy-nilly, we do have to establish a foundation in the different positions at the drum set. Since we're going to be seated in a slightly different way, hands open versus crossed, and the sound of the cymbal is different, it does take a little bit of adjusting. So let's get comfortable playing over here on the ride cymbal. The beat is the same from the last lesson, so we don't have to learn a new groove, we just have to apply it in a different way. So let's just try that for a while. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, now we're going to try an exercise where we play the groove on the hi-hat, and then we'll stop for 4 counts, and then we'll play the same groove on the ride cymbal. Stop for 4 counts, switch back to the hi-hat. So repeat the pattern 4 times in the first position, and then I'll count off into the second position. All right, about right here again. 1, 2, ready, play. One, 2, switch to the right cymbal. One, 2, switch to the hi-hat. One, 2, switch to the right cymbal. All right, if you're comfortable with that, we'll now do the switch without stopping. So 4 times on the hi-hat, 4 times on the ride cymbal, 4 times on the hi-hat. 1, 2, ready, go. So yeah, being able to switch between the cymbals is an essential skill because when you're playing along with music, you want to be able to get all the sounds out of the drum kit. You know, a lot of times in songs, the verses have this tighter sound. It makes sense to play on the hi-hat. And then when the song opens up and, you know, maybe the chords ring out a little bit longer, it makes sense to go to the ride cymbal because it matches the sound of the other instruments and it will match the feeling of the song. So being able to switch between them, it's just what you have to do at the drums. So let's do the same thing, but we'll play on the floor tom. The same beat with the kick and snare. 1, 2, ready, go. So once you're comfortable in that position, we'll do the exercise where we switch from the hi-hat to the floor tom. And I'd say we'll skip the step where I do the count off in between. We can just go straight to the groove. 1, 2, ready and go. And all right, I have a fun little challenge for you. We're going to play the beat 4 times on the hi-hat, 4 times on the ride cymbal, 4 times on the floor tom. And when we go back to the hi-hat, we'll play it 2 times. 2 times on the hi-hat, 2 times on the ride cymbal, 2 times on the floor tom. And then we'll play it 1 time. 1 time on the hi-hat, 1 time on the ride cymbal, 1 time on the floor tom. And we'll end it there. Let's just try it and you can play along and it will make sense as we go. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready and go. And there's a lot of other sounds that you can do, and including on the hi-hat, you can open it up and play on an open hi-hat like this. But I'm not going to get into doing that in this lesson just because then we have to start talking about what to do with the left foot, and I'm going to save that for its own special lesson. But in general, you can play your timekeeper on the rim of a drum. You can play it on the snare drum rim. You can play it on whatever cymbal you have, a cowbell, a tambourine. There's, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. Now, with that said, you can do that with all the beats that you've learned so far. So not only are we going to move around our timekeeping hand, we can also try a couple different sounds with our backbeat hand, which in my case is my left hand. So far, we've been playing the backbeat on the snare drum, but you can play it on a tom. If it's not too much trouble for you, you can move each backbeat around. Just getting all sorts of different sounds out of it. You can play everything on the toms. And that reminds me, your snare drum, you can open up the snare drum and you can take the snares off the drum, getting a completely different sound out of the drum. I'm going to turn the snares back on. You can even play your backbeat hand on the hi-hat. You might want to choose a different surface, like the right cymbal. But a really important one to learn and to know about is called the side stick, which traditionally you want to flip the stick over and you get a nice cool knock. It's also called a rim knock. One thing that it's not called is a rim shot. That's different. A rim shot is where you hit the rim and the head at the same time, versus just a regular head shot. You hear that? But what's funny is a lot of times, a lot of non-drummers don't know that this is not a rim shot. So I've been in situations where a band director has told me to play a rim shot, and what they meant was this, even though a rim shot is this. Completely different vibe there. So a side stick, rim click, but it's not a rim shot. So if we move our left hand to make that sound, the feeling of the beat changes. There's a little bit of technique involved in getting this, so I'll briefly go over that. You typically get a better sound when you flip your stick around backwards, and the way that I play it is I put my hand in the middle of the drum, and I make sure that the bead is about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from the opposite end of the snare drum. Now that's if you have a 14-inch snare drum like I do. But in general, when you pick up the stick, you leave the bead on the drum head and you let the butt end of the stick fall on the rim. I'm holding on the whole time. I'm not dropping it. I'm dropping my hand while I hold the stick between my thumb and my index finger. My palm doesn't leave the drum. I'm not lifting my hand up like this. You don't get quite the right sound. So if your hand stays on the head, that deadens the sound of the drum. And it really lets that knock sound come out. So as long as your hand is about in the middle, the bead of the stick is about 1.5 inches away from the rim, and you don't lift your hand off the drum, then you might be able to figure out how to get a really good sound like this. Just as a demonstration, I'll play the 6/8 groove like that, and the 16th note groove. and the 16th notes. You can even play your backbeat hand on the hi-hat. Just, you might want to choose a different surface, like the right cymbal. So yeah, any groove that you have learned or will learn, you can do these sorts of things. You can move around and come up with different sounds based off of the same groove. It really just goes to show how limitless the drum set can be. That's all I'm going to talk about in this lesson. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel. And please spread the word to any beginning drummers that you might know. As always, happy drumming and take care of yourselves.